Hi there, welcome to the Kinematic Composer Cello walkthrough. We're going to look at some of the key features of this instrument and load in some of the patches and just get a good listen to it too. Let's just start off by loading in a few of the sounds from the main body of the instrument. We can see here right in the centre is Kinematic Composer Cello. This contains the 14 NKIs, which were played by Liz Hanks, and really these can be heard if I just load them in. It's just as simple as dragging and dropping them in. You can hear the arco here. There's really extraordinary range on that from her wonderful instrument. Then the second one up, if we just drag that up, is the arco vibrato. You can hear the wonderful vibrato there. Moving on to the sol ponce, we've got the muted sound there. It's really effective for creating more interesting ambiences, and vibrato again on that. Get some incredible harmonics coming out of the instrument there. Then moving on to the tremolo, which is basically very atmospheric and rising up with a slight increase in volume as it goes through. The tremolo chaos you might recognise from some of the more spooky demos, used a lot for creating that more scary kind of sound. The fifth oscillator you heard at the start of the video, just moving between root and fifth there, which is really usable for certain chordal chordal movements. Then we've got the short crescendo, which are timed nicely. Accent and diminuendo, which is quite impactful. Moving on to number 10, we've got a gliss tone up and down here. Which is great too, nice, and really shows the body of the instrument. Then we've got the percussive hits, which are obviously just generated from the instrument. You can really add some interesting percussion to your tracks, and you can hear some of those in the demos too. Then moving on to the pizzicatos, you've got a very balanced gorgeous legato. Then you've got the staccato here, which is a bit nice and bumpy on that, and the spiccato, of course, which sort of completes the set. So a huge amount of options there, but then what we've done here is extended the range of them. So you can see with the standard arco, this goes down now with all the way into the bass range, which can be really handy for scoring, particularly with the Analogue Pads, which you can see here. So let's just drop in a few of these Analogue Pads. These were just created here with some of the analog synths, which we were just trying to make some really rich, multi-sampled, evolving, but simple as well textures that would pair nicely with the cello instrument. So if we just flick through these so you can get a feel for each of these in the super low end there. to those rich chord pads. And we'll flick through to the second one of those. That's super low and they all have their own character, but they were really just made just to complement and inspire the performances of Liz when she came into the studio and worked alongside us to create the NKIs. So just moving on to the Moogs. Can you hear that slightly more fierce Moog filter on that patch? And finally, yeah, so they're kind of really solid pads to work with, and we paired them with the cello in the multi section, which can be seen here. So there's 14 pairings, and again, you can just load. You can just drag and drop them in very easily. So you've just got, let me just have a quick read of there. You've got some wonderful pairings. And just taking down the cello there. You can really hear the richness of the instrument and really why we made it there. So that's the overview of the instrument. Now we'd like to do a bit, now we should do rather, a bit of a dive into the actual interface itself and how to get the most out of the sounds and the patches. Okay, now let's have a little look at this interface. So to begin with, the heart of the interface are these 3 mic positions, and we could have a quick listen to each of these on a standard setting. So this first one here, we've got the center mic, which was a U47. It's just a very solid mono center for all the patches. I've got a very tight release on this for quicker playing. We'll explain a bit more why that is shortly. If we could now just have a quick listen to the center, the stereo rather. And this was a pair of Coles 4083 ribbon mics. So you've got that smoother top end from here, but they're stereo and they're wider. But they're still pretty close. And moving on to the room, you've got a pair of Neumann KM184s here. But if we turn up all 3, you really get the full body of the instrument, but obviously you can pull it back and forth depending on the volume of your center and room mic in relation to each other. You can see here above the microphones that each one is editable. So if we, for example, hit the global button, all 3 are edited together. So if we go into the filter here, each one of those is being controlled together rather, and whereas if we wanted to edit individually, we could have a different filter on each sound, on each microphone rather. So make the room darker, for example. The other option is for the editing is within this envelope. Again, in the envelope, if we wanted to change the attack, the decay, the sustain, or the release independently, that would be possible. But with the global button on, these will all act together. So there's some creative potential there in terms of, for example, if we were to want to make the center dark and then have the room mics nice and bright, maybe a bit thinner as well, but then just have the room mics coming up with a slower attack. You can get some really interesting creative effects by doing that. If we just set this back to global, it's quite easy to set everything back to how it was. So just got the release a little bit longer for my liking, so we'll pull that back in and pull the attack back down on the global. And that's really the attack, decay, sustain, release, and filter section, and how it interacts with the global and the edit buttons. One more thing that's worth pointing out is the instrument has got a simple reverb on it. And most patches default to not having this, just so that the room sound provides the a more natural decay on the instrument, so you get a feel for the space. You can actually increase that by editing the release up on just the room mics. It's maybe a little bit long, but you can hear, and then maybe shortening it a bit on the other two. And you can play a bit quicker but still have the benefit of the tone of the room. So that is the Kinematic Composer Cello. You can find it now on Lute Audio, and I hope you like it. Cheers.